Right, now today marks exactly 6 years since the Lily Mine tragedy in Barberton and Mpumalanga. That's where a makeshift office in a container with 3 workers inside was swallowed by the ground when the mine collapsed. The bodies of Pretty Nkambule, Nyirenda and Yvonne Mnisi remain buried underground. Our reporter Malungelo Booi, as well as our reporter Mweli Masilela, have been working on the story and join us now. Let me start with you, Malungelo. Very good morning to you. We take stock of this tragedy, looking onto what has happened over the course of the 6 years. But let's go back to the day that container collapsed.
Hi there, Mpo, you're right. In fact, it was on this day in 2016. Some of us were in Johannesburg. The incident happened at around 8 o'clock in the morning, Mpo, when we received a call about an incident at a mine in Mpumalanga. At the time, really, we didn't know that it was actually here at Lily Mine in Barberton. And when we raced here, we arrived here mid-morning, early afternoon. And when we got here, we thought, in fact, that we were going to find people already out, already left the scene, because at the time when we heard was that there was about, over 70 workers that had been trapped underground, and we're hearing that most of those workers had actually been taken out. And when we got here, there was still a lot of activity outside this mine, and we found, in fact, the workers, some of them still sitting inside the mine, and there were community members that were sitting exactly on this bench. I want to see if Barbara is able to show you. You will see some people were actually sitting there, and we're actually also seeing a lot of rescuers that were busy then trying to retrieve, that container that was inside. They had been able to rescue the many other workers that had actually also been inside, the mine at the time of this incident. Mpo, when we were assigned to this story at the time, we were thought that we were going to be here for about a day or two, only to find that we're in fact spending about 9 days reporting on this incident. One of the things, Mpo, on the week of this incident, I remember with rescuers saying that there were still signs of life. 3 days after, this incident, they were still talking about signs of life being there, and that they were working around the clock really to make sure that that container is retrieved. Fast forward really to 2022, that container remains trapped underground, and there were so many promises at the time that were made, not only by government officials, but also, the owners of the mine, that they were going to do everything possible to make sure that that container is retrieved and that those 3 people are taken out dead or alive, and make sure that they are reunited to their families. And unfortunately, that has actually not happened in 2022.
With that not having happened, you make mention, pardon me, Malungelo, you make mention of so many promises that were made. We know that even the likes of politician Herman Mashaba stepped in to say that he wants to help with the legal processes. How far did those processes get?
Remember, Mpo, Herman Mashaba, entering the fray here is only about 3 years ago. We're talking here about politicians, including now the deputy president of the country, David Mabuza. Remember, at the time, he was the premier of this province. He also came here. And also, do you remember the then Minister of Mineral Resources, Mosebenzi Zwane? He also came here at the time, also making all sorts of promises. And I also recall the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Labour also shortly after that incident actually coming here to inspect and to see exactly what has actually happened. When that crown pillar collapsed, there was an inquiry that was done by the Department of Mineral Resources, which found that, the company, that's Vantage Gold, that they did not actually do everything possible to make sure that the situation is actually safe for mine workers. And in fact, as we speak now, there's an inquest that's currently taking place here in the Mpumalanga Magistrates Court, in a way trying to find who must be held responsible, who must be prosecuted. Bear in mind, though, an inquiry by the Department of Mineral Resources has already put blame exactly at the mine management.
Very well, Malungelo, let's leave it there for now as I now bring in Mweli Masilela, who's also covering this matter. Mweli, a very good morning to you. As the question comes to the forefront, who must be held accountable? The families of the mine workers whose bodies still remain trapped underground have also been, not really settled because there is no closure. They haven't been able to take the remains of their loved ones and lay them to rest.
Indeed, Mpo, the biggest question has been who should take responsibility in terms of what happened on the 5th of February 2016. Well, a lot of events have unfolded after that unfortunate incident. As my colleague Malungelo Booi is talking about the issue of an inquest that has been underway in as far as the issue of Lily Mine is concerned. There are still those questions about what actually transpired and who should take responsibility. Well, on several occasions we had an opportunity to engage or speak to the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, who have been actually some of those officials from that department have been coming to Lily Mine, but really important, we haven't been getting clear answers or responses in terms of how they are trying to attend to this matter. And this has been a very painful story to tell, considering the fact that some of us, as Malungelo Booi has highlighted, we've been here since this story broke and looking into the families that have been camping here for more than 1,000 days now, trying to put pressure on the government as well as mine management to ensure that the remains or the bodies of Pretty Nkambule, Yvonne Mnisi and Solomon Nyirenda are retrieved from underground, but still there is no solution in as far as this matter is concerned. In fact, yesterday I had an opportunity to speak to Pretty Nkambule as well as Yvonne Mnisi's mothers. What they are saying is that even their grandchildren, that is the children of both Yvonne Mnisi and Pretty Nkambule, are always asking those questions as to what happened to their parents. In as far as those children are concerned, we know that Pretty Nkambule left behind 4 children, and one of those children was 5 months old when that container collapsed into a sinkhole. And yesterday I met her here. She was part of the people who were actually getting ready for today's commemoration. And looking into her face, you can tell that indeed there are those questions since she's now 5 years old as to what happened to her mother. And her grandmother actually saying that she's always getting those questions, and they've been actually telling lies, especially according to Pretty Nkambule's mother, to say that the mine and as well as government are actually doing something to ensure that their parents are brought to surface. But they are saying that they are tired now of telling those lies in as far as this story is concerned. But it's not only about those families of the affected, of those people who are still trapped underground. We know that in as far as the economy of this as a small community is concerned, they are still complaining to say that after that tragic accident that happened about like 6 years ago, they've lost a lot in as far as businesses are concerned and as far as jobs are concerned. We know that this is a mine that started underground operations in 2007 and employing more than 900 people, and some of them or most of them are from this community. So they were hoping that the recovery mission or that plan to try and recover those people who are trapped underground will happen soon, so that mining operations will as well be able to get underway, but that has not happened. So we'll hear also today, as we're expecting the formal program to start at 10 a.m. Today. We'll hear from their side as well. I think it's the very same story, actually blaming government and the mine management of failing them. They believe that government has the powers to try and ensure that this matter is resolved, but so far nothing much has been done to ensure that this matter is put to rest.